All right, Scott. RealWatersports.com. They've got something special going on this month. They're doing a big event promo giveaway with Sustainable Surf. They're partnering with Barley. It's basically a raffle. There's a bunch of different prize packages. The main prize package is a 3-day, 3-night stay at Waterman's Retreat, which you and I know and love. And then in that 3 days, you get a day on the water with Barley. You can go surfing, you can go fishing. He's going to actually film it. So it'll probably be part of his vlog that he does. And like I said, raffle tickets, you get 10 for $10. So basically $1 a ticket. And the proceeds go to Sustainable Surf.
You know what? I was checking this out. Trip sent this to me to look at, and I was checking this out. And I swear to God, I would love to spend 3 days to Waterman's again with my wife and have Brett Barley like take me around as the local guy and just like go surfing and foiling, of course, and whatever else fun I would have. But it sort of brought back memories of our trip to that area, and I would love to win this thing. So anyway, to donate, um, well, donate to protect your playground fundraiser and giveaway. That's what it's called. It's called Donate to Protect Your Playground fundraiser and giveaway to support sustainable surf. I'm sure you said that already. And there's a number of ways that you can donate. And it looks like there's going to be a drawing date for the prizes at the end of this month. So this is happening rather quickly. You can donate money and you get a certain number of entries. And again, this is about protecting our ocean through all the good works that Sustainable Surf does, which includes like planting mangrove trees and really sort of sounding the alarm for sustainable surfboard building and a lot of other good things that Sustainable Surf does. They've been big part of the boardroom show over the past 20 years or so, and I know Tyler Fox from Santa Cruz is a big part of Sustainable Surf now. And anyway, I'm excited about this. I would love to win time with Brett Barley exploring Cape Hatteras.
Yeah. And they're obviously that's a protected nature preserve as well. So they're kind of closely tied to this. And as you mentioned, we're closely tied to a lot of different people in this giveaway. But for the $10 for 10 tickets, there's no reason not to throw at it. And the prize packages go beyond just that one main prize of the grand prize of the vacation. But there's surfboard bags, there's art, there's coffee table books, there's towels, there's all sorts of stuff that you could win that are worth well more than the $10. So anyways, go to sustainablesurf.org/giveaways, and that'll pull everything up. You can link to it from our show notes or from realwatersports.com as well. And then Colby Plus, Scott. I made a purchase on Colby Plus yesterday for a 1.5 millimeter wetsuit top and 2 comp leashes for El Salvador.
Wow, that's a great call. I kind of got to up my game for El Salvador. So you got a 1.5 vest or long sleeve jacket or something?
Yeah, long sleeve wetsuit top, which is probably more than I'll need, to be honest, in El Salvador. But I always like to have one. And sometimes, even if it's too warm, I'll wear it just for the sun protection.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of the jacket and getting leashes too is a great call for a trip. I got to wrap my head around our trip, but look, Colby Plus, our friends there, they make these really buttery wetsuits out of help me, how do you pronounce the rubber, the Japanese rubber? Yamamoto?
Yeah, Yamamoto. But it's important to note because there's actually different qualities of Yamamoto. And so I think some people just mention it. They'll use the lesser quality, but mention it and then charge the higher price, basically. And this is specifically, trying to look for the details.
It's the premium Yamamoto as opposed to the
It
lesser
is.
than.
It is, and it goes by the number, and I can't find the number right in
Oh,
front of
it's
me, but
probably 1 million.
they use Yamamoto 1 million.
I mean, or it could be 1 billion.
Could be. but they use the premium Yamamoto. But again, it's direct to consumer, so you get it for an unbelievable price. So
Yeah. Well, Colby Plus, good friends there, and David and I love their wetsuits, and I guarantee you will love your wetsuit. I mean, it is comfortable, warm, flexible, performance oriented. I'm just overwhelmed and stoked on mine.
you got Strider modeling the suits on their website, Danny Kwok as well. So true wetsuit experts. Colby is spelled Kolby, colbyplus.com.
As we see some movement at the takeoff zone, it's Kelly Slater grabbing rail.
Yeah, guy, David Lee Scales. Yeah, guy. It's March 13th, and spring feels like it's real close. It's got a spring kind of vibe in the air here in Southern California. And as I think I mentioned, it's March 13th. It's a Wednesday afternoon, and good day to you, dear citizen.
Good afternoon to you, Scott Bass. We should be sharp as tacks doing an afternoon show instead of a morning show, unless it's nap time.
No, it's the other way around.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You are an early riser. So even when we record at 7 a.m., you've usually been up for 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, we got El Salvador coming up on April 7th. It's less than a month away. Guess what happened this last weekend? 3 people dropped out of the trip.
Oh, you're kidding.
No. So
more waves for us.
Yeah, exactly. We made this trip
horrible.
available, I'd say 4 months ago. We advertised it. It actually sold out before we even advertised it on the podcast. And 18 spots, I believe, were available. They filled up immediately. Then people sent inquiry like, hey, if anybody drops out, let me know. So this past weekend, one dude dropped out because he has a surgery scheduled. His buddy dropped out in solidarity who was planning to go with him. Third and separately, a guy had a work conflict pop up, so he dropped out all in the past weekend. Well, since then until now, I reached out to those people who are on the wait list. 2 of them took 2 of the spots. We have 1 spot that remains open if somebody wants it.
Wow. Okay. Well, look, 1 spot left. Go surfing with David and myself and a crew of other good-natured folks. And we're going to be trying out David's Simon ASIM, man. Aren't we all going to get a chance to ride that thing?
Maybe. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I'm really not opposed. I am not monogamous in that way. I am okay sharing surfboards with people. So I need first crack at it and I need first access whenever I want it. But otherwise, by all means, take it for a spin.
Hey, where's my board? Oh, see that guy on that wave over there? Yeah, I hear you. So look, it's going to be fun. And
if
I'm excited. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if anybody wants that spot, surfsplendor@gmail.com is where you hit me up. First person to snag it.
First come, first serve. Is that what you meant?
First come. That's what I meant to say.
Who's
first person to put their money down. I don't, you can inquire all you want. First person to send money in is the one who gets it. But it's 6 nights. It's at Hotel Los Mangos. Punta Mango is the spot, the little bay right there that the resort is on. It is an A+ wave among the region of very good surf. This is kind of the spot. And then we have access to other spots nearby by boat. We have a filmer coming, and I forget the price. It's right under $1,200, I believe, and that includes 6 nights with food. And then airfare is in addition to that, but we're flying out of LA for about $500 a person. So those are the costs to consider. We'll send more details if you inquire with me, surfsplendor@gmail.com.
Well, cool. Yeah, come surfing with us. There's a few things to talk about. I don't really have a whole lot, but I think as we look towards what this show is going to feature, there was some all-time Cloudbreak. I have a must-see moment and some interesting surf history that may or may not interest you and the listeners. But what do you have?
Well, I have a listener who's not coming to El Salvador, but emailed me about El Salvador that I should read to you before we get into the bulk of the show.
Yeah.
He said, hey, what's up, David and Scott? I'm very excited to hear about your trip to El Salvador. It's a place that's near and dear to my heart. And Since Scott enjoys stories of a positive nature, I thought I'd share my story about a program that I started at a surf break in El Salvador, K59, to help clean up trash and plastic. Guardiansofk59.com is the website. For over 12 years, I've traveled to El Salvador. I've caught amazing waves, had amazing experiences, including my honeymoon, met incredible people, and I've continued to learn Spanish. On one of my trips, we had a day of small surf. So I took a walk around the surf breaks and roads and followed the riverbeds that continue down to create the point breaks. The amount of trash everywhere was undeniable. Within 1 square foot, you could find dozens of pieces of trash and plastics. The trash isn't created just by the locals in the area. It comes from the riverbeds in the rainy season, then gets deposited on the beaches until it gets washed away into the sea. The local surfers, surf guides, and photographers know about the issue and have done cleanups in the past. But is it really up to them to just clean up the beach for free? That's why we started Guardians of K59 to show what's possible. Most surfers care about the issue, but spending time during your trip cleaning up trash is tough work. So we offer surfers the opportunity to donate a couple of bucks to support the locals so that we can host beach cleanups. Cleaning up densely populated areas makes a big impact and really is the last defense from trash ending up in the ocean. And hey, if you want to volunteer and clean up with us, it's one of the most rewarding parts of a trip. We have a few cleanups a year and offer supplies year round. Last year, we hosted 3 beach cleanups, hauled hundreds of pounds of trash, and capped each one with a barbecue at the end of the day. So it's an absolute honor, and we greatly appreciate all the surfers who have supported us for this. I hope this brightens your day, and I hope you guys score on your trip to Sally. Don't forget to bring a semi gun. Thank you for the podcast and for sharing your personal journeys of becoming better humans to each other and our planet. Also, shoot me a mailing address and I'll send you guys a couple of t-shirts. They're super comfy. See you out there. Ross Koval, founder of Gardens of K59, San Clemente, California.
All right. Well, that's very cool. And Ross, thanks for being a global citizen. That's doing God's work, creating some sort of cleanup. Any sort of cleanup is wonderful, and stoked to hear that. I would love a t-shirt. I like soft stuff. I've got my cashmere on now. I'd like to swaddle, you know.
Are you literally wearing cashmere right now?
Yeah, I am.
Fancy lad, man. I had
No,
no
look,
idea.
no, it's soft. I mean, why wouldn't you? What, like,
Well, because it's expensive. That's why you wouldn't. So
oh,
it's
well,
for the privileged few. You are a fancy
no,
lad. But let me tell you, it is no joke. It
yeah.
is the best. It
Oh,
is lightweight. It's breathable. So like when it warm, you put it on in the morning when it's cold, keeps you super warm. Later in the day when it gets hot, you're still totally fine.
cashmere and slippers and a good book. Are you kidding me? Come on.
Your cup of oolong tea,
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah. I mean,
Colby Plus wetsuit. Are you
I'm
kidding?
just like very close to a nap. You know what I'm saying?
Do you
Um,
do you only have it in sweater form, or do you have other forms of cashmere?
no, just these types of sweaters. This is what my wife buys me. I probably have 2 or 3 of them. They're insane. Once you go cashmere, don't even bring me another. Don't bring me some Scottish stitched up thing.
Wool, itchy wool. Are you
Yeah,
kidding? Get that out
yeah,
of here. So
yeah,
I don't know if you're aware, like we were talking about different quality Yamamoto rubber for
yeah,
Colby Plus wetsuits. There
yeah.
is significant degree in different qualities of cashmere.
Mm.
Like you can find like kind of discount cashmere online for $100 or something like that, but
Uh-oh.
they have very expensive cashmere that goes for 10x.
Oh, I don't know what this must be the what do you call it? Fast fashion cashmere.
Oh, maybe I'll see what your wife says, see what brand she's buying you.
I do know that she has this like a shaver, like because you get these little balls, She's like, oh yeah, there's this thing where you literally like shave the little, I don't know what they're called, the little balls that kind of fluff up from your daily use of your cashmere. And
Yeah,
she's, yeah, you gotta trim your cashmere. It's like personal grooming.
It's a cashmere comb. I'm actually looking for one. I've got one right here in my
Oh,
desk.
now who's highbrow? You actually have a comb.
I
Holy
do.
shit.
I do. I do.
Oh
I
my
bought the
God.
wife some cashmere for Christmas. So that's why I
Okay.
have it. But
Okay.
okay. Well, that was quite the detour. We're looking for a cashmere sponsor if anybody's out there.
Well, Ross, congrats on again, K59 beach cleanup and area cleanup in general. And
Yeah.
yeah, El Salvador gonna be insane. I actually was speaking with a dear friend of mine. I went down to El Salvador with a couple of times back in 2000. And man, we got great waves. You know, I was with Matt Warshaw
Oh,
and we got
nice.
great waves, and we were just kind of reminiscing about the surf and how much fun it was and blah blah blah. It was good. Good
Good.
talk.
Good. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, Cloudbreak, is that where we go?
I think that's the lead story, right? All-time Cloudbreak with Nathan Florence, Billy Kemper, Cole Christensen, the Coffin brothers, Parker and Connor, and Soli Bailey, who, and many others, by the way. I'm sure I'm missing some people.
Jojo Roper, Benji Brand, Laura Enever, Jai Glindeman.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. And there's probably others on top of that
Yeah,
we
there are.
missing. But point is that people that were on it were on it. And JoJo's one of those guys. Like, he's got his eye on the prize, like around the globe. Talk about watching when a low pressure spawns, and he's out there. And so are a lot of other guys, like Billy Kemper and all the people we mentioned. But anyway, um, these people scored huge, perfect blue, glassy Fiji. This is the type of stuff that when you're in math class, you draw this stuff on your folder, on your peachy folder. You're dreaming and drawing about this. That doesn't mean, frankly, that we could go do it, because it was huge. It was massive. And I don't think that, well, we speak about this a lot, but what we see and what we think we can do are two different things. And this was experts only, professional, next level, huge. And I'm sure you've seen it, David, because you follow this stuff. But the Tucker Wooding drone shot of Soli Bailey on YouTube, which is both, I think, in fast motion, but then there's the slow motion version of it. It's mesmerizing. And if you put it on your big screen TV off of YouTube and just go full screen with it, it's pretty, it is just, I mean, I don't think it, like, not, is there anything better? Like, when you think of a surfing dreamscape, this is what you see. Like, this is incredible.
There is nothing better. This session, I think, went down while we were recording last week's show because it wasn't happening prior. And then we got off from recording and I pulled up Instagram and there was all this live feed stuff basically. And you're right, Tucker Wooding, he was my must-see moment about a month ago at Pipeline. I was telling you about, he was just basically focused on capturing one style of shot, which is the drone above the paddle in takeoff at pipe and then tracking the wave as it barrels. So you get to see the intricacies of somebody paddling into the wave and then getting to their feet and then navigating the tube, looking into the tube from a bird's eye view. And it was incredible. And he was nailing that shot. Well, as a result of that, Nathan Florence invited him to go to Fiji on this trip. And so Tucker was applying that same exact angle and drone expertise, but doing it at a much broader playing field of Cloudbreak. And so you are absolutely right. The Soli Bailey clip is probably the clip of the day. Nathan Florence then a few days later ended up publishing the entire day's sessions. And again, phenomenal job, 25-minute clip. And it's really, while we thought that we wanted edited highlight reels in the past, I think he's shown us that what we do want is also a behind the scenes look at what goes into a day like this. And so it starts with them getting up in the morning and prepping, taking the boat out there, seeing the morning kind of seasickness on the ocean, watching the sun come up, seeing JoJo on one of the first waves, not a perfect wave, but you're seeing the swell rise, you're seeing the tide drop, and then you see it really turn on. You're seeing them on the boat feeling nervous, pan to Billy Kemper. Billy's just practicing his breathing technique, prepping for it. All of that stuff, I think, makes those highlight clips come to life when you have that context. So when you ask, is there anything better to watch? The answer is no. It is my favorite wave on the planet to watch, I believe.
Yeah, and I think that on some level, first of all, Tucker Wooding deserves an Emmy. Like I was thinking about this, there needs to be, I don't think we give there's not like an awards show for whatever you want to call it, photography, videography, cinematography, I don't know. But this guy is he's there, and there's others like him that are, they're basically like the Don King of this generation, or they're the Art Brewer, or they're the Jeff Devine, and they're there, and they're doing sort of new stuff, like cutting edge, like I know drones aren't necessarily new, but look, the stuff he's doing is it's incredible, and it's super fun to watch, as you mentioned, and of course what Nathan does with the context setting up the story is great.
Yeah, it's interesting. There was the guys you mentioned, the surf photographers that you mentioned, each had their own unique thumbprint in surf photography, and you could almost open a magazine and identify who shot the photo without seeing the name. I feel like surf filmers were largely anonymous for 20 years, where every clip, they work, maybe you'd identify Kai Neville because he worked with a certain crew of guys, or Taylor Steele or whatever, but the actual shot that they were getting would be no different than a shot that anybody else was getting. There's now surf cinematographers that have created their own unique thumbprint and style of doing what they're doing. And Tucker Wooding is certainly one of them, with this angle that he's getting. I mean, again, it's a drone angle, so it's the same angle that other people are getting, but the tracking of the drone and the style in which he's doing it, you're right, is innovative, And so it's definitely worth acknowledging. And it's a way to make a living now as a surf quote photographer, because I don't know that there's a way to make a living if you're just shooting still photos, really.
Yeah, as I think back on it, we think about who are the great surf live motion guys that capture that, right? And the very first one perhaps is George Greeno, with the stuff he did on the back of his kneeboard, Innermost Limits. And then and I'm kind of riffing with you here, but as I move forward through it, certainly I think Merkel, I think he did some live.
Bruce Brown.
Well, yeah, thank you. Bruce Brown, of course, duh, right? Even I guess you could go deeper than that, right? There's Bud Brown, and there's I don't know, is there a Dr. I don't know. There's other people. But I was thinking like Sonny Miller comes to mind, Larry Haynes comes to mind, like some of my contemporaries come to mind. And I know there's others that I'm missing, from sort of the early 80s, like maybe Hal Jepsen. He was a piece of work, Hal. And who are some of the, I don't know. I'm sure there's others.
I mean, there's tons,
Yeah.
We'd forget more than we could possibly name here, but
I guess what I'm saying is it's unfortunate that there's not like a Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Or an awards ceremony or awards show that's documented those things from year to year that you can go back and point to as kind of the highlights of a given year.
Yeah.
So, but there's been great film. The other thing is, there would be a lot of overlap between quote filmmakers and surf filmers, and the filmmakers are the ones whose names you will immediately think of. There's probably a lot of surf filmers who were contributing footage to a lot of those films whose names would go overlooked, but still need to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for
that's
sure.
a distinction too.
And who comes to mind too is like Eric Nelson, who shoots all the Maverick stuff for, I want to say it's easily been 25 years.
Yeah.
That guy's been working at Mavericks for 25 years. Powerlines Productions. Like he's been grinding. That guy's on it.
Crazy. Yeah.
And there's a lot of guys.
So much iconic footage too.
Yeah. So there's, anyway, Hall of Fame for those that capture the live action.
Yeah.
I guess
Appreciate it.
I got the Academy Awards on the brain right now, I guess.
I guess so. Did you
Yeah.
watch?
Oh yeah, you can.
Oh.
Yeah.
We
I'm a
don't have
fan.
we don't have TV and we don't have a streaming service that had it live, so we weren't able to watch, unfortunately. But anyways, Cloudbreak stands supreme in my mind. Like, look, Pipeline's amazing, and we talk about that every time it happens. And J-Bay is fun when that goes. But Cloudbreak, to me, I watch those guys, and I'm like, the amount of speed that you have to control and um, harness is just something totally different, you know, because even people who paddle in on a gun and they make the drop, they get to the bottom of the wave. It's like, if you aren't really applying that bottom turn, using every ounce of energy that you got off of that drop, that thing runs away without you. And so you find people in that situation just getting detonated in the whitewash. You need to maintain a crazy amount of speed for a crazy long period of time and control it and navigate it, you know, navigate the tube, you pump through the tube, not just pull into the tube, but pump through the tube on these big boards. It's just such a different playing field.
It is. And one of the other things that maybe we're missing here is that it's sort of the everyman's perfect wave. In other words, pipeline, we're not paddling out of pipe. You could, pipeline, you're just not going to catch any waves.
Yeah.
And Chopu, there's going to be a crew that are just on it. The thing about Tavarua, about Cloudbreak, is that everybody's been there. Like, most surfers have been there and they've spent a week there and they've got to experience the boat ride out and jumping off the boat and paddling and surfing and getting worked. And a lot of people know what a difficult wave that is to ride and how, and so there's this, hey, I was there, I got to surf that. I've surfed that wave. There's just this sense that it's kind of like a public golf course almost, where it's like, look, nobody gets to really play Augusta at the Masters or some of these private golf courses, but we all get to play at Torrey Pines, or Pebble Beach. These are municipal golf courses, public golf courses. So that's kind of how Cloudbreak is. Everybody's experienced it. I mean, there's guys that you and I know that take trips to Cloudbreak every year and have done so for 20 years, they're out there like birds. There's just crews of guys that have the same week every,
Yeah.
The guys, I want to say it's Cinnamon Rainbows on the East Coast. Those guys, there's guys probably at Heritage or they're all, these people, they know the wave and they know how hard it is. And that's the other thing, is that once you've surfed it and experienced it and hung out with the boatmen and done the kava ceremony and the whole thing, it just makes it more real. It makes it more like you're a part of the community rather than, oh yeah, there's the pipeline guys and I'm just this guy over here that surfs, Ventura C Street or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah. And that there's, sections of the waves of that wave that you can take off on as an intermediate surfer. And then you find yourself on an expert part of the wave and you understand, what the difference is. Chopu, you're not paddling into unless you're an expert. Pipeline, same thing, so Cloudbreak does lull you into that, and makes you feel like you almost, everything that you just said. So, but days like this where it's 20 foot are clear, and it's when you see
the
Billy
other thing
Kemper
about
over the falls.
Yeah, Billy went over the falls. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is, too, is that wave, to pull into that tube, it starts off as this kind of top tube almondy thing. Like you have to commit, you kind of have to pull up into this thing where you're like, this doesn't really look, it's just a little top tube at the beginning of it, and then it burps over the reef and you're like standing in this big cave, but you kind of have to commit to this thing, especially backside where you're like, I think it's a tube. I better go up there, And if you don't, by the way, if you go down to the bottom and do a bottom turn, you're done, so.
Yeah. Well, shout out to everybody who was on that. Yeah. That was a delight to open my phone to last week.
Yeah.
Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform that is designed for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to subscriptions. They have flexible templates with designs for every category, templates that are simple to drag and drop your artwork or logos into, but flexible enough to redesign to your specs. They have online store templates that make it easy to sell physical merchandise, digital or service products like podcast subscriptions and paywalled content. They even make customizable merch. You can design products and they will handle the production, inventory, and the shipping and handling. So let Squarespace handle it for you. They'll save you time, they'll save you money. And will save you money by going to squarespace.com/surf. You get a free trial and you get 10% off your first purchase. Squarespace.com/surf. Enjoy. Portugal event is still slogging along. Any thoughts on that?
You know, my only thought on that is Gabe Medina looks unstoppable. And that's based on, what we had 3-4 rounds or something, but Gabe looks like he's building and building and building and building and is, he looks impressive. And by the way, there's actually some pretty cool heats coming up. If you look at it, let me see if I can pull it up real quick, but
Yeah, I just pulled it up as well. It looks like we're in the semifinals, or I'm sorry, the quarterfinals for the men. It's Jake Marshall versus Crosby Colapinto, Ethan Ewing versus Ramsey Bukayan, Gabe Medina versus Leonardo Fioravanti, and then Griff Colapinto on the opposite side of the draw from his brother against Joan Daru.
well, what we have here is a potential Colapinto meetup, which, a lot of things would have to shake out, but wouldn't that be neat? The other thing to talk about, Jake Marshall beat John Florence in a very close heat. I'm sure you watched it. And Gabe Medina absolutely smoked Jack Robinson. And you know what? Look out for Joan Daru. He could win. I mean, all these guys could win, but I mean, if you're looking at a dark horse, how about Ramsey Bukayan against Joan Daru in the final? That would be insane. And what a shakeup to the points and stuff that would be. I actually wouldn't mind seeing that. I kind of want to see the Colapinto brothers meet up, or I would love to see Bukayan and Joan Daru in the final. I think that would be a good tossing of the salad, so to speak.
Well, look, I think it's an indictment of the WSL format. The fact if those two guys make it to the final, and that's not meant. That's not meant to slight
you're not
those
a fan, huh? You're not a fan.
Dude, those two guys are not the best surfers in that 32. They're not top 5 surfers in that 32. What you have when the waves aren't world-class quality and
all right.
there ends up just being a lot of variability, and that it doesn't allow the cream of the crop to rise to the top. It allows for variability to actually win the day and for people to just get through. And I think that this kind of setup proves all of that. And so do you actually want to watch Ramsey versus Joan in a final anywhere on the planet? No, it just feels like a QS event.
No, I do. I want to see it mostly so that I can hear you in a couple of weeks or whatever go, you know what? You were right, Scott. These guys are actually killing it. I had no idea. Ramsey, who knew?
I've seen Ramsey surf enough to understand he is incredible and he does kill it, but give him, I mean,
I agree. I think what you're saying it's cogent. I'll give you that. But I don't think if you make a final of a CT event, you're pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's one thing if, you beat John in the first, the round of 32 and then you bail out. Okay, well, you got lucky. But if you make it through Baron Mamiya, Rio Wada, Griffin Colapinto, and perhaps Gabe or Leo or, and you make it through Ethan Ewing, Yago Dora, Connor O'Leary. I mean, you've done some work there. it's not like a one heat wonder thing. It's like, oh yeah, but he's not really that good.
Yeah, nobody beat all of those guys in succession to get to the point that they did.
No, but I'm saying Drew beat Mamiya, then he beat Wada. If he beats Colapinto, then he would meet Medina probably, or the other Colapinto.
Yeah.
Or no, yeah.
This,
So
yeah,
anyway,
I mean,
if they make it to the final, it's kind of a thing. I mean, it's
yeah,
kind of a thing.
I guess when you say like Jake Marshall beat John Florence, you're right. That's impressive. But is Jake Marshall going to deliver some highlight out of this event, even a one wave highlight that will be seared into our memory that we will remember next time this event comes around next year? The answer is probably not. So put them in good surf where they perform to that level that we can kind of have something to get excited about. I haven't been excited about any wave that I've seen throughout this event. Gabriel Medina did a couple of airs that I was like, that was sick for this event, but that's not going down. He didn't win a Yeti cooler. That wasn't a 10-point ride. That's not going to be played at the highlight reel at the end of this year. And so, I shouldn't shame Joan Deroux or Ramsey Buchanan because they did the hard work to get to where they're at, but it's because they're QS warriors. Both of those guys have been on the QS for 10 years, and
Yeah.
that's what this event essentially is.
Yeah. I hear you. But look, the way Gabe surfed through transition, that the air that he did and landed and went in through transition and then killed another top turn. And it was pretty good. I mean, it was pretty state of the art.
It's killer. And, I'm glad to see that he's revitalized his passion to compete at this level. That's what I saw from that, but it wasn't his best wave that he surfed in the last month,
I agree.
or whatever. But I'm going to read to you a listener, give a listener a little opportunity to chime in on this conversation. He said the subject line came through on the email and said WSL 2024 season secondhand embarrassment. Hey chaps, I'm sure you know this, but you lads are effing great. He told me that I should cuss because it works better for the show, but
I think he's right. I
he
blame
said,
you.
He said, just wanted to say that the Mayo Portugal event is a new low for the WSL since I started watching in earnest 5 years ago. Tried to watch day 3 and lasted all of 4 minutes. Overscoring, mediocre surfing, terrible waves. There appears to be no chance for a competitor to do things that show why these are top level pro surfers. It was like watching Ben Gravy or maybe a local ripper. Boring. No idea about the commentary as I can't listen anymore. Jessie Miley Dyer is uh is awful, and my face turns red with embarrassment when she's on the screen. She has all the charisma of a Victorian spinster librarian. My kids, woefully underpaid school teachers in Northeast England, would have a better screen presence. Literally cannot believe she's still doing that job. Also, I disagree with you both that the Hawaii events were a return to form. I think they were acceptable for both the men and the women. Molly, Betty Lou, Moana, Katie made pipe awesome despite the waves being meh. It's their personal charisma that was great, not the waves nor the WSL. However, 3 good things in 2024. Jack Robinson at Sunset being a magician. AJ, I think he's referring to AJ McCord as a commentator, or beach commentator. And then he also said, a new guard of women being heroes. Respectfully yours, N.A. Nelson.
Yeah, those are great takes. I mean, he makes some really good points. And I guess I look at it like WSL and events, they're sort of low hanging fruit for us to kind of just go, oh, I mean, it's so easy to pick it apart and go, this is lame, this is lame, this is lame. And then many of those points are great. Look, the waves aren't good. Super Tubes is just not, Super Tubes shouldn't be on tour. It's just not. In fact, I think somebody on Stab said something great. It's like the most hyperbolic surf spot name ever, And I know it has its moments. If you're a boogie boarder, some days, like, it's really good. You get spit out of the tube. But, it's like DMJs or, it's like the Navy, it's like Point Magoo or something, like, yeah, okay. It's like Newport. Like, yeah, it's insane barrels occasionally, but is it Super Tubos? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's why
I'm sure it has its moments. I'm not trying to shoot that down either. I'm just saying that,
It's why specialty events work really well there is if you have a long enough window in one day of competition, you can get an amazing day of competition out there. But
Yeah.
running an event the way that they do it is just a slog, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So
I agree with that. I mean, we beat that horse.
yeah, agreed. Um, factormeals.com/surf50. Let me tell you, Factor Meals has filled a specific gap in our lives that has simplified our busy schedules and satisfied and nourished us. If you follow me on social media, you know that I love to cook. My wife and I love food and wine, but there are still at least 5 meals a week where we're just underprepared, short on time, and don't want to make a bad dietary decision nor sacrifice the pleasure that we get out of dining. Factor has solved it. Chef prepared meals that are delivered to your house weekly. They take 2 minutes to heat up and they're designed to be eaten anywhere. There's no prep, no cooking, and you can recycle the package that it comes in. Delicious meals that are good for you with over 35 options to choose from each week. Go to factormeals.com/surf50. Less expensive than dining out, more delicious, more nutritious. Factormeals.com/surf50. Before you give me the bit of surf history, I'm going to read to you a listener note that just came in. He said, before I left for Australia, this is a longtime listener, Keith, I believe is his name. He said, before I left for Australia, my buddy Sid Abruzzi said to make sure that I catch up with Derek Hynd. On a fortuitous morning walk up to the pass with my wife, I come upon a guy carrying a deflated surf mat who had been surfing earlier on a massive swell. Well, it was none other than the legend himself. We chatted for a while about our mutual friend Sid, surfing and American politics and guns. He is a worldly guy and keen to talk. What an experience. So I
Yeah,
thought that was
that's
a
cool.
cool
And
note.
good for him. Yeah, I think any chance to rap with Derek is going to be engaging and different and intellectual and also filled with some saltiness, and good. I think that's great. And what a lucky, you know, happenstance.
Um, what's your experience with mats?
I've told you my experience, right? I almost drowned on a mat. I was,
In Indo with Rostovich?
yeah, yeah. I was, it was actually a year after. So I traded a board for a mat with Dave and I took the mat the next year to Indo. I'm like, oh, I'm a mat guy. I was trying to be like all, you know, I don't know
Yeah.
how would you characterize it? I was trying to be, a
Hipster.
man of the people, riding mats, riding hypos, riding stand-ups, riding everything. And I had never ridden a mat. I had no idea. I just figured, oh yeah, blow it up, put some fins on. So anyway, I went out on some small, crappy left-hand reef somewhere in the Mentoises. I kind of forget. It might have been Thunders. I don't know. And a set came. Like I sat and waited for a wave, and I think I turned for a wave, couldn't catch it, turned around, and a set came. And this isn't a big set. This it's 3 to 4 feet. And I tried to duck dive it. And lo and behold, you can't duck dive with a mat. So the wave picks me up and just like carries me, and I'm just I'm taking in water and I end up on the inside, and then I'm like bailing the mat and just swimming. I obviously didn't almost drown, but I kind of, speaking of hyperbole, I like to tell that story as if I almost drowned. But my point is that the mat kicked my ass because I didn't know how to duck dive it. I didn't know how to deal with it. It wasn't, to my chagrin, as easy to ride as a boogie board. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So have you gotten any successful rides on it?
No, no, I think I popped it and
That was it.
yeah, I don't, it's it's buried in the garage of wherever like old surf leashes and stinky booties are. You know what I mean?
Anytime a Matt conversation comes up on the show, I get emails from a few people in DMs. They're just like Matt devotees, and they're like, dude, you got to get a Matt. Let me tell you about, dynamic rocker or whatever. And I'm intrigued by it all.
Yeah.
I feel like there will be a time in my life where it'll have a place in my life. Right now, I have so little time to actually surf and too many surfboards that it's like and I surf beach breaks. You know what I mean? Like if I lived on a point break, maybe I would then have the mat as well. But it's like in my very little amount of time that I have, I want to do what I know how to do. I want to get a couple of decent waves standing up, and I don't want to practice. I don't
You
want to.
know what you need? You know what you want to do? You want a foil, my friend. I am telling you.
Yeah, I know you're
But
right.
anyway, I don't mean to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, it's funny. I was speaking with Randy Rarick the other day, and he was telling me, he's like, Scott, I'm like, Randy's getting older, and he's like, you know what? And I told him, I said, well, why don't you do stand up paddling? Because he's having a hard time getting to his feet. He's got some health issues. And I go, well, why don't you just stand up paddle? You don't even have to get to your feet. You're just on your feet all the time. And he goes, Scott, I'm actually going the other way. Mike Stewart gave him some bodyboards. Mike Stewart goes, here, take these. That's what a great guy Mike Stewart is. He offered these and said, look, I'll go surfing with you anytime, blah, blah, blah. So Randy's going down to his belly to stay on his belly to catch waves. And by the way, any way that you stay in the ocean, even
Yeah.
if it means at a certain point in our lives, we just walk on the beach or we get to reflect with the horizon line, it's important for all of us. So, yeah.
Agreed. The thing about boogie boarding or bodyboarding is I want to get tubed on those things. And so I'll end up in shore pound wallop. You know what I mean? And when you're older, that's probably not the best option either. So the thing about the mat is the speed. So that's why people are riding the mat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
like I said, you want to go fast? I'll show you the thing you need to be ready to go fast.
Yeah.
You'll have
Well,
too much speed.
I did like in that story, though, the idea of Derek walking up out of the massive surf with a mat under his arm. Like that was his, you know, craft of choice. I appreciated that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a sincerity to Derek's, the way he looks at surfing. Like he was probably, like this is the equipment to use today, and he didn't give a shit if anyone, where I was like, oh, I'm going to be a mat guy because that's the
Right.
cool thing to do. You know what I mean? Like I got to be in the mat
Totally.
culture.
Totally.
And yeah, it's funny.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, I'm ready for your history unless you need a bathroom
Well,
break.
look, I sent you some pictures. So the California Gold Surf Auction is taking place here in April, and we found an incredible board. And I'm going to give you a little read here, if you don't mind. So this board is a 1970 Mike Hinson psychedelic rainbow surfboards rounded pin, 1970. Right, and this board, David, deserves a Holy Grail status for a number of reasons. Reason number one, Hinson's legendary down rail. When you put this board under your arm and you feel this rail, it's like incredible speed, right? The down rail is insane. And it's the whole thing. And you're like, oh man, this board goes fast. I'm not sure if it cuts back, but I know it goes down the line as fast as possible. Reason number two is the John Breeden artwork. It's next level, eye-popping colors. I sent you some pictures, mystical new age iconography. It makes you basically thirsty for a chakra smoothie with wheatgrass juice. You know what I'm saying? Reason number three is that this is without a doubt, and I can tell you're looking at it right now, this is the cleanest, like new, most vibrant of Hinson rainbows we've ever seen. And that's because it has been stashed away for decades. We found this. This is one of those barn finds in a board bag in the rafters. This board is all original, more or less right off of the showroom floor, which in those days probably featured a small Rudolf Steiner library. That's right. I want you to look up Rudolf Steiner.
Oh, I know who Rudolf Steiner is.
He's incredible. There was probably on the showroom floor a hashish hookah for public consumption, and on certain days, free astrological readings from Chuck Wine. Reason number four, there's no deck plug. No deck plug, which I love, right? So we've got this incredible Mike Hinson rainbow, psychedelic rainbow from 1970. And of course, oh yeah, look at you showing her off. There we go. That is in focus and wonderful. So of course, Hinson, this is from that Rainbow Bridge period. The Brotherhood of Eternal Love, when Hinson joined up with Johnny Gale and they found rainbow surfboards, and it was a crazy time, right? Hair was getting longer, surfboards were getting shorter, blah 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 blah. Orange Sunshine, LSD, FBI, But, all of those sort of cultural trimmings aside, uber surfboard designers like Dick Brewer and Jerry Lopez will tell you that down rail was a difference maker for setting an edge and driving out of the tube, and
Yeah.
Mike Hinson certainly deserves all the credit for that.
The board, it's never been surfed even, looks like.
No, it's never been waxed.
Yeah.
It's brand new. Oh, so the story is, so Mike Hinson in 1970, he needed some more materials. He went into a surf shop in Huntington Beach and needed some materials, more fiberglass, some blanks, resin. He needed to make some surfboards. He had no money. And what he did have was this board. So the guy goes, yeah, you're Mike Hinson. I'll trade you the board for a bunch of materials. So Mike left with like 4 blanks and a bucket of resin and some fiberglass or whatever, thin box. And the guy just took the board and stashed it in the back of his surf shop in a board bag. And years later, like decades later, he sold the surf shop and he had this board and some other boards that he had stashed back there. And he then now put those just in a storage unit. And lo and behold, a friend of his, this gentleman has some health issues. So a friend of his is selling some of his stuff. And this was one of the boards. And so he contacted me, and we've got this incredible, like I said, this thing is right off the showroom floor. Blow out the hashish and walk out the door with your new rainbow surfboards. It's incredible.
It really is. I've never seen anything like it. Like the condition. I've never seen anything like that. Bravo. Great find. California Gold Surf Auction. When is it available?
Well, bidding begins April 6th, and
Okay.
the lots will begin closing on Saturday, April 20th at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's when we begin to do the close. And you'll be able to look at the board and the pictures and read the story behind it in the catalog, which hopefully will be published and live and available for purview sometime in late March. So like maybe 10 days from now, I hope, maybe earlier. Maybe
Cool.
earlier. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think we could use this little segment to make a little YouTube video of it as well, and maybe an Instagram video to showcase and promote it. Which I was reminded by our mutual friend. We need to talk and tell people to subscribe on YouTube. What's your channel's name, or do they just search Boardroom Show?
Yeah. I mean, if you go to YouTube, it's at Boardroom Surf Show.
Gotcha.
And you can see my stuff. And then yours is
Surf Splendor. Just search
at Surf Splendor YouTube. So
because yeah, that's the thing is subscribe and then it automatically feeds you. Like when you open up the site or app or whatever, it automatically feeds you whatever we are doing. So you don't even have to search for it or hunt it down. It just gets fed to you. So click the subscribe button, pretty please.
yeah, man, I've been going down some YouTube rabbit holes. Holy mackerel.
Surf rabbit holes or what do you?
No, mostly music related
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
Like yesterday, I got turned on to 1988 live in Tokyo, Eric Clapton with Mark Knopfler and Elton John. These 3 live in Tokyo. It was
Crazy.
insane. Like people are finding some of these crappy 80s VHSs and they're restoring them and remastering them into 4K audio and just like, upgrading the crap out of it. And so there's some stuff that was rather junky in the past, which is now vibrant and in your face. And I mean, the finale, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting by Elton John with Knopfler and Eric Clapton on lead guitar, just like leading off on each other. And Elton John just banging away. And oh man, it's friggin' awesome.
Wow. Incredible. Yeah, you can get into a rabbit hole on YouTube for sure. So, speaking of videos, films, things,
Did I give you my must-see moment?
well, not yet, but
Oh, sorry.
save
Sorry to
it, save it,
interrupt.
save it
Yeah,
before
I didn't want to forget it.
Yeah, we'll do it towards the last portion. But I was just going to let people know that Torrin Martin is in the US right now, and he's touring a little surf film that they put together called The Ugly Duckling. So we've talked about the film Calypti, came out last year. It's their year on a sailboat. He and his partner, Ayana. one of the guys that they had jump on the boat to help document the trip and also had sailing experience, that was another reason he was invited, was Kelly Foote. So Kelly filmed some of the trips. Some of that footage ended up going into the film Calypti, but Kelly had all of the tons of footage that didn't go into the film. And so he's making a little series of films called The Ugly Duckling. And the focus of it is Simon Jones and Torrin ended up making this new board model, the Calypti, which is a shorter twin fin, high performance twin fin, basically. And it's about the iteration of that design, the development of that design. It started off very crudely over 10 years ago, with like a square nose shorter board. I think he even cut down like a 610 into a 5.6 or something and then put twin fins on it. And so Kelly kind of documents the development of that design until it became a fully formed surfboard model that is now available on the market. So they're doing it as a series of short films. The Ugly Duckling is the name of it, but they're premiering it in California right now. They did a premiere a couple of days ago. I want to say, I forget where that premiere was, but it's going to be at the waterfront in Venice in 2 days from now, March 15th. So that is this Friday at the waterfront in Venice Beach at Los Angeles. Then the following day, it's going to be at Bird's Surf Shed in your neck of the woods, Saturday night in San Diego, March 16th. Then it's going up to Santa Cruz the very next day, March 17th, and then San Francisco, March 19th at Proof Lab, the Hook Fish Company. The Santa Cruz location on the 17th is yet to be determined, but you can go to neatessentials.com, I'm sure, and figure it out there, or just follow them on social media and they'll publish it. But great opportunity to see Torrin in the flesh.
Cool. Yeah, go check that out. If you're here in San Diego, Birds on the, did you say the 16th?
Saturday.
Birds Surf Shed. That'll be fun for sure.
Rocketmoney.com/surf. Just this week, my wife figured out she was paying a subscription for Showtime, but then also paying for Paramount Plus, which includes Showtime for free. That's precisely what Rocket Money was designed for. A modern tool that meticulously tracks the details that we easily get distracted from. It's a finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your monthly spending, and helps you lower your bills. It gives you freedom by helping you see your subscriptions in a simple dashboard and alerts you about hidden fees or increases. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has helped save its members an average of $720 a year with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. Stop wasting money on things that you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/surf. Calm the clutter in your head, simplify the tedium of your financial life, and find freedom through rocketmoney.com/surf.
My must-see moment, is this a good time for that?
Sure.
My must-see moment presented by Trees Wax, which is high-performance, super sticky tree wax, or surf wax, but that is made from trees and rocks and all organic stuff, right? So it's not petroleum-based.
Petroleum-free.
Kelly Slater at Kira in spinning perfection. In my mind, it's right up there with what we saw at Fiji. I'm telling you, I loved watching that. I loved watching. It was only about a minute long. It's on Stab. It's probably on YouTube somewhere. But it's Kelly. Instead of being in the crappy surf in Portugal, it's just all-time Kira, and it doesn't even look crowded. And
Yeah.
Kelly's just ripping through it, and just, my words won't do it justice. Go check it out. You can see it on Stab, probably other places as well. Kelly Slater, Kira, did you see this?
Yeah, I did. And
Hey,
there's
wait,
one.
wait. You need to be excited. Okay. You saw this? I don't want the, yeah, I did. I want the, hell yeah, I did. It was insane.
Look, I'm not good at showing my emotions. Okay. So I was going to give you an intellectual response that would have delivered what you were looking for from me, but without the emoting. What I was going to say is it's insane that one tube he gets, he comes out and he does a roundhouse cutback. And when he banks off the top of the whitewash, it wasn't like a slam into it and then kind of land and come out of it. It was just a full motion of like, whoop, pow, like he hits the top of the whitewash and carves down with it into another bottom turn. It is a figure 8S kind of pattern motion that is full power every single step of the way throughout the next bottom turn. It was like 22-year-old dudes fully fit at the top of their game are not doing that. It was gnarly.
Exactly. It was goat doing goat shit, man.
Yeah.
And it was the type of free surfing. It was like the best surfing perhaps I've ever seen Kelly Slater do. I mean, I know that's sort of hyperbole, but I mean, he didn't do it. There was nothing wrong. Everything looked like
I know.
it was all on. Like everything was, he was in the right frame of mind. He had eaten well, things were,
Yeah.
he walked the dog. Everything was perfect. And he was
Yeah.
just surfing phenomenally.
I know. I wonder how he would surf without a hip injury.
Holy mackerel, this guy.
I mean, that was the meme of the week. It was all over the place, multiple memes actually, but like Kelly Slater withdrawing from Portugal due to a hip injury, and then he shows up at Kira and is looking more spry than he's looked in 20 years.
Oh man, he looked good. And the
So
waves looked good. It was like channeling Wayne Dean and Rabbit Bartholomew, like 1971 Kira. It was just
I know.
so spinning and perfect.
Look, I do believe that Kelly does have a niggling hip injury that was the reason that he pulled out of Portugal. But I also believe that if the waves were scheduled to be pumping, he would have shown up for the event. And I think Kelly has his priorities in order right now. And his objective was to get good surf. And he knows that event is not going to run in good surf. And so he went and got good surf. So
Yeah,
good on him.
Good for him.
Good choice.
Yeah.
So I was torn between my two must-see moments, and I'll give you both. Noah Beschen just dropped a new edit. It's called Noah. This is a film that came out, I don't know, in the summertime, but wasn't released on YouTube or anything like that. Well, now he has a director's cut that is released on YouTube, and it's subtitled The Art of Surfing. It is a very cinematic piece. He is the director, believe it or not. Noah Beschen is. He's got a filmer that does all the cinematography, but Noah's the director on it. And it is a spectacle to watch. I had a friend text me and was like, dude, we don't talk about Noah Beschen enough. Like Noah Beschen is top level ripper. Like, I mean, comparable to Eli Hanneman or Baron Mamiya 5 years ago, where charging big pipeline, chopu, foam ball riding, like wrangling 10 feet, crazy stuff, and then doing huge air reverses, or full rotation airs on big waves. So he is the full package. For some reason, he flies under our radar and we don't discuss him nearly enough. So I watched the video because my friend texted me that, and I agree with everything that he said. However, the film is it's a lot of art and it's a lot of fluff. And the surfing that's in it is spectacular, but it's only 50% surfing, maybe even 40% surfing and 60% cinematography. So that is my one knock on it. And the cinematography, by the way, is spectacular and the art direction is spectacular, but it's like, it's a little much of a, it's a little masturbatory is what I would say that it is.
Wow. That's a little word.
It is like, look, I'm pretty good at what I'm doing and I'm going to go extra long and show you guys extra hard. Like it's a little bit much. But it's good.
Maybe it was a project for film school or something.
And if it is, it would get an A+ because spectacular and the surfing is high quality, but I want to see the surfing. So what I'm going to offer you instead as my must-see moment presented by Trees Wax is a little bit more unique. It's called Vacation 2. It's on Stab Premium, and it's the second half of the film that is my must-see moment. Apparently, the Stab Highway winners. Stab Highway is a series they do. I've never watched a single minute of it because it doesn't appeal to me, but they do this series, and the winners of that series get gifted a vacation surf trip. So this film is those winners on vacation in Costa Rica. The reason why the second half of the film is my must-see moment is Donald Brink makes a special appearance. He was down shaping at the House of Somos doing a residency, and Stab actually hired him to build 5 boards for the 5 professional surfers that were on this vacation. And they're asymmetrical boards like only Donald Brink can conceive of. And he watched each of those surfers, the 5 surfers, Jacob Zekle, Zoe McDougall, Letty Mortensen, Shane Sykes. I think maybe there was one more. And he watched each of their surfing, built a board specifically for them, a custom asymmetrical board. And then they showed up on this trip and they were gifted Donald Brink's boards, and Donnie was there on site to actually walk them through the designs, surf with them, watch them surf, comment on their surfing, all this kind of stuff. So it kind of brought to life some of what we've discussed in past electric acid surfboard tests, but in a much more thorough way, because that surfer gets a board and they give it a couple of, sessions on it, and then they move to the next. This was Donald building a specific board for 5 professional surfers and then writing it with them and analyzing the footage and discussing it kind of at length. So I thought it was really insightful. I think it might fly under the radar just because people aren't going to watch this one-off video, and they might not make it to the second half of it, even if they do. But it's high performance surfers, guys and girl who are used to riding pointy thrusters, trying to make sense of an asymmetrical alternative shortboard, but having Donnie kind of walk them through it. And I think it was really, really interesting from a surfboard design standpoint.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I'm actually watching it right now as you're talking, with the volume off, and the back half of it, the second half of the movie. And yeah, it looks really interesting. I'm seeing some great surfing on a unique surfboard with, like, as you mentioned, Donnie giving insights about it. And the thing that's you and I both know is that, talk about a great communicator. Don Brink is a super intelligent guy and can convey his thoughts effectively. And that's always a plus,
Totally. And obviously he was the winner of the last electric acid surfboard test in conjunction with Matt Biolas for that mixtape board that they made for Mick Fanning. Not the last one, but the previous one, I should say. So he was deserving of this kind of honor. And it was interesting. And like I said, he built these boards specifically custom for each of the surfers. So they're very different. Like Jacob Zekle, who's a very kind of power heavy footed surfer. His board looks entirely different than Letty Mortensen, who's like lightweight and spry. So interesting to see each of those and hear all of the discussions surrounding the designs.
By the way, the waves look really good, man.
Yeah.
Who's the young guy with the twin fin, long hair, regular foot?
Letty Mortensen.
That's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Letty.
Yeah.
Yeah. His board looks pretty sick. He's ripping on it.
He surfs really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This looks like a fun thing, And Zeke, I saw Zeke do a big power wrap with his like
rail
a grab rail. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before we go out on today's show, I want to show you this package that I got in the mail today.
Oh my, what'd you get? New fins?
Yeah, I did get
those. Look like new fins.
These are not my John Simons, but these are something that you will appreciate.
Wow, C drives, Naked Viking C drives.
New C drives. I had the medium.
What are those for?
Just for the quiver. I had the medium drive or the medium sized C drive twins, but I wanted to size up to the large. So
those are the large. Okay.
These are the large boys. These are the big boys made in G10, baby.
Wow. All right. I'll be grabbing those too.
Want me to bring them down for you?
Oh, no. I mean, I'm good. I don't even know what boards I'm bringing. I still haven't received the 2 boards that I was supposed to get recently.
Well, dude, fill out the Google Docs spreadsheet that I sent to you and everybody in our group.
You know what? I'm right now I'm leaning towards my Happy Every Day, my CI, my Channel Islands, because I haven't, no other boards. The boards that I've ordered have yet to arrive.
Well,
we'll see.
That'll do. that'll serve you well. But I put together this spreadsheet to get everybody in the group like familiarized with one another before we get there.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, let me know if I need to add any columns to this spreadsheet to add anything other than like our home base and what boards we're bringing. And somebody added weight and height as a column. I was
Ooh.
like, is that inappropriate? Is it inappropriate to ask people what they weigh? And let's see who lies on this form. They say 170 and I see him in person and I'm like, I don't know, but he looked more 190. That was some over the internet math that you did on your weight there.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out. I have not looked at the spreadsheet. So
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for
no,
acknowledging my
hey,
hard
look,
work.
thanks for your effort. I'm just, if you knew what I had done today, like I drove up to Santa Monica today,
No way.
drove back, then drove to the San Diego airport. Yeah. I've been
Collecting
involved.
surfboards?
Yeah.
Tough life, bro.
I'm blessed.
In
I'm
your
blessed.
cashmere sweater, driving up and down the coast.
I am blessed. I'm truly blessed.
All right.
God knows. Yeah.
We all are to work in this
Okay.
surf biz. But hey, surfnvs.com. If you want to grab these fins or support us, do that there. They're available at local retail, of course. They're available at Real Water Sports, which we always talk about. So thank you to all of our supporters. Thank you, of course, to Colby Plus. Thank you to Trees Wax as well.
Yeah.
So lots of love.
All right. Well, look, David, until next time, adios and aloha.